contours on the lot.
So is the action that they're taking
Frank,
now been?
They got a building permit to do certain work on their property.
Yes, yes.
Given that they have now submitted a site development plan, so two questions. One, having done whatever it was they did under the building permit, did they change or in any way kind of prejudge, by doing what they did already, did they remove something from the application that they would have otherwise had to comply with? And two, did they complete everything that they said they were going to do under that building permit?
So they're about, I would say, 85% done of going through that rock. They haven't done anything extra. Their entrance to that lot, it was through that rock. And that's what they took the permit for. And the driveway is, it's going to be like a 15% grade, which is a relatively easy contour to go up a driveway to get to a house. But no, they didn't do anything over and above what they.
That's not what I asked. That's not what I asked. What I asked is in other words, if they had come in with a site development plan originally, right, so that you knew what was happening originally and didn't get this building permit first.
Right.
Is there something else that would the review of the site development plan have been different? In other words, did they have an easier application for a site development plan? Did they somehow have an easier project? Did they do something? They already did phase one, so we no longer have to worry about this piece because it's done. So therefore, our application is easier. The review is easier, whatever it is. Did that in any way? Can they now say, oh, well, we don't have a rock, so our slope is only 15%. Had we still had the rock, our slope would have been 25%. I don't know what the number would be, but that's my question. My question is, having done this work independently of anything else, did they did that end up having an effect on the review under the site development plan?
No, none whatsoever. They had to get through that rock. That lot has relatively easy contours other than that gigantic rock that was in their way. So the permit was to get through that rock. They would have had to have done it anyway, even if they started with a site development plan. They would have still had to do a construction entrance. They could have chipped that rock with a hammer, with heavy equipment, blasted the rock if they wanted to go that route. They decided to go this route, which was tough, but they got through it. They're almost through. They're like 80%.
So they're continuing on to continue to do the work that they got the building permit for, even though they need a site plan? Because the applicant made the point that along with the site plan, they need the stormwater pollution plan, and that by disturbing the land and by chipping away at the rock, it's too early to do that. They should have gotten the site plan approval and the stormwater pollution plan in place or approved before they do any more work. Are you still allowing them to do work, or by the fact that we are finding for the applicant, can you not stay the work that is being performed under that building permit?
I never agreed with the fact that they needed a site development plan for what they were doing.
I understand, but we are telling you, we are the board that is now finding for the applicant, and we are saying that they always, all along, needed a site plan. So this has now become our decision, and we have said, yes, they.
But we haven't, Meg.
Well, once we
haven't
vote.
voted.
If we should. It sounds like we are soon to make that decision. And it would seem to me that then we are making the decision they need a site plan, and they need to cease acting on the old building permit that you gave them to continue this work. They must pause until they get their site plan approval and the stormwater pollution program.
Right.
If we vote to, this was an application of the building permit. So if we determine that the building permit should not have been issued for this work because they should have gone for a site development plan approval, these other approvals first, then at that point, Frank would have to revoke the building permit. But at the moment, having done what they're doing through today, that was appropriate. We hadn't taken an action. They had a permit that was valid unless and until we.
Right, I'm not arguing with that. I'm arguing with what happens now. So I know we don't normally vote until we have the resolution in front of us, but if we don't vote, then the people can continue to operate on the building permit until next month, correct? Unless we vote tonight.
That's correct.
So how so I put a question to the other members of the board who might want to be voting in favor of insisting that they need, in favor of the applicant, that this property owner requires a site plan. Are you prepared to vote tonight, even though we don't have the resolution in front of us?
It's been our
Yes.
policy that we take a straw poll and we don't vote until the resolution is before us.
Right, but
Yeah,
I'm
right.
speaking, yeah, okay. So I understand your opinion. I'm asking Greta and Abby.
Yeah, I think given that harm will be done if we don't vote, unquestionably there's a reason to break policy and to vote tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
Because it's pretty simple. What we're going to say is we find in favor of the applicant that it was, vegetation has been cleared and it wasn't open.
Vegetation can be cleared pursuant to normal maintenance. That's not enough to say that. We have to have, if we're going to revoke, make a determination that a site plan approval was needed, we have to have something more than vegetation was removed, because
What I meant was it complied with the requirement. It had the requirement that is in the code cites that the property owner requires a site plan in order to perform that action. So I'm saying that the code that I cited earlier, that it is clearing vegetation, which is described in the code requiring a site plan before you're allowed to do it. I'm
Does
saying
it-
basically that's the summary.
Does it
in the
say,
resolution.
does it say it has to have site plan approval, or does it say he has to submit a site plan?
site development plan approval by the planning board shall be required in all districts for, and the relevant section here is C, any proposed clearing of vegetation or earthwork on any property, half acre or larger, or any land involving 25% or more of the site. So that would be the basis for determining that what they did was clearing vegetation in excess of what would be considered normal maintenance, that the property is more than a half acre, and that they were doing this work on more than 25% of the site. That would be the basis for.
I don't think that they need both. It was either a half acre or 25% of the site, I thought it was.
Yes,
Well, if we could do
it
both,
is
it
or.
is either. It is either, but if we could do both, it would be great. But if we can only do one, we can only do one. So, yeah, you're right. It is either. So
I'm ready to make a motion, if that's okay, at this. With that finding, I make a motion that we find in favor of the applicant on this appeal of the building department's decision.
I second it.
Okay. I would normally, I know that there's been one or two other times when, notwithstanding our policy, members of the board have tried to have said that we should vote on a particular application on that day. I am troubled by that. I think we have that policy and it should stick. However, I do agree that on this application, given that there will be a consequence from not, on the one hand, there will be a consequence. On the other hand, presumably at the end of the day, they'll be able to do it all. But the strict, what the law says is what the law says, by the law, excuse me, what the code says. And given that harm, not harm per se could follow, given that they are in violation and they will have removed the necessity for the building permit, so it will no longer be relevant at the next time. And so voting next time would be completely irrelevant. It would be a moot vote. I think I would agree that we needed to vote today. So I'm okay with that. Doug, did you have something to say?
I don't think we should break our precedent. We always took a straw poll and we always waited for the resolution. That is the only objection I have. Okay, because that has been our policy. and I think we should stick to it.
I would say we should stick to it, except in a case like this where not acting would render any decision moot. And I think it's worthless to have an application that we would render moot. So I would be okay with voting today.
Okay, but they have like what? 15% of the rock to take out of there,
Yes.
and we're gonna. Okay.
I mean, we're either gonna approve the applicant today or deny the applicant. I'm just saying in terms of what we could theoretically do. But if we don't act today, then our ability to approve the application would be completely moot. And I think where we can act and prevent it from being moot, I would agree that we should act today. So I'm okay with that. Anybody else have anything to say before we vote on this?
Madam Chairman, can I just clarify that your vote, in addition to finding that the building permit was erroneously issued without site plan approval, is to direct the building inspector to revoke the building permit immediately?
Correct. And the basis for that would be that section that that we believe that the vegetation with removal was in excess of normal maintenance and pursuant to, sorry, I can't get my and pursuant to 342-75C, that the clearing of vegetation was in excess of normal maintenance, and the property is larger than a half acre, and therefore pursuant to 342-75C, they were required to get site development plan approval. Right, Meg, that was your motion?
Right. Plus, I don't know if we want to add about the stormwater, which is the next paragraph down, I believe, in that.
I think this is enough. What's the next paragraph down just says a stormwater pollution prevention plan, but they're not up to, they didn't apply for that. They didn't get anything approved for that. So I'm not sure why we would want to say anything about it.
Okay, I'm happy with what you had, what was your finding there? So.
Okay, well, let's vote on it. Abby,
Yes.
Greta,
Yes.
Meg,
Yes.
Doug,
I would vote yes, but we're going against our precedents and the way we handle applications. So I am going to abstain.
okay, and I vote yes as well. So we have approved this application, and then we're done. Okay, we have completed all of our applications that were before us today. The next item on the agenda is the letter to the Board of Trustees. The Planning Board sent us a draft letter. I have some comments on it. I will start with my comments, which is.
I'm sorry, I thought we were going to discuss this in a work session and we never did.
It's on the agenda for today. So we'll discuss it today.
Okay, I am not prepared. I thought we were going to have another work session when the last one got canceled. I am not prepared. I don't think that this is
I mean, I disagree. I think there's no reason not to discuss it. We can easily have discussions about it. The fact that it's not a work session, in fact, that's what we're doing now. Work session.
I understand, but I wonder how the rest of the board feels. Do they want to discuss?
It is up to the rest. I agree. I think there's no reason not to discuss it today. Are the other board members ready to discuss it? An item that was on the agenda. Doug, Greta, Abby, what do you think?
I'm not in a position to discuss it today because I thought we were going to have another work session. I agree with Meg.
Okay, looks like that's what we're doing. I would suggest to the board members that if you see something on the agenda that for some reason you don't think we're discussing, that you raise it ahead of time, because otherwise there's no point in being on the agenda if we're not going to be discussing it. So that's the first thing. Okay, so I guess Megan, Abby and Greta, you want to delay this also?
Yes.
Fine. Okay, so we'll delay that. How about the amendments?
Madam Chair, before you move on, if the board would just like to, I guess, figure out what the next work session date will be?
I thought you sent us some dates, and I thought we discussed The 22nd, I thought the 22nd, so the Thursday, the 22nd, October 22nd. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, 29 is not good for us, Robin, if we're gonna be in that work session.
The 22nd is good for me.
Greta and Abby, I think Abby said it was okay, so Greta,
I'm trying to see what I had said.
I didn't, yeah, I don't know if you said that.
Would this work session be for an hour the way the other work session was for an hour? Are we gonna have a time limit?
This work session will be to go over your November agenda.
As well as to do this letter and anything else
Right.
we decide to discuss at the work session.
Right, I have a question on another topic.
But let's get this date, hang on, Doug, let's get the
Go
date
ahead.
set, and then we can move on to your next topic. We need it, Greta?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the 22nd was my least favorite choice, but I'm willing to do it.
Okay, so then the next work session will be on, thanks, Greta. The next work session will be on October 22nd.
Okay.
Will, just a thought on some of these. Maybe you could would you mind just sending us calendar invites for them? Just going forward, maybe that will be just easier for us. Just a
Will,
thought.
if you could do that?
I can do that once the date is set.
The 22nd is set.
Okay. And the other thing is, if we're gonna be in virtual, we're gonna have our meetings at 7.
Well, we had said that work session, we'd begin at 7. I'm okay for virtual time, moving all the meetings up to 7, if that's what you're asking, Doug.
Yes,
Greta, Abby, Meg, what are your thoughts? I don't know I mean, if we weren't in virtual, I would need it to stay at 7:30, since we are in virtual mode these days. In other words, since we're not all back in our offices, I'm okay with moving it to 7. Abby, Greta, Meg, what are your thoughts?
7 is fine for me while we're virtual.
Right, Greta and Abby. Abby, you're the ones with little kids, so that's probably the most likely to be affected. I don't know if it's good or bad, but this way.
Yeah, I know. I'm debating that in my head right now. I'm like, on the one hand, it's going to get in the way of giving them dinner. On the other hand, if that means an earlier night for me, that's probably better. So
You okay with 7?
I'll go with 7.
Greta?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so for as long as
that's work session and meetings?
Yes,
Yes.
be everything, yes. So
Okay.
from now on, just to announce to the public, while we are meeting virtually before work has returned to normal, let's hope it's very soon. We will have all of our meetings, whether work sessions or your monthly meetings at 7, beginning at 7 p.m. Okay.
the flashlight.
Okay, next item, amendments to the village code related to fees charged in lieu of dedicating parkland. Did anybody look at this? Did anybody think about this? I honestly just took a quick glance, but I don't really think that I don't have a problem with it. I have no comment I would make on that.
I don't have a comment either.
This was very short, but
Right.
I want to make a comment about this one and when we're getting the other laws. Is it possible to get a red line copy so that we can see what the difference is and we don't have to go back into what was published before and try to figure out what's changing? This one seemed pretty clear and it's pretty short, this one about the fees, but some of the other ones we get, it's hard.
Very agreed. So William, is this something that you could do in the future when we have applications that you could do take each section that is being proposed to be amended and presenting the prior?
Yeah, just so you know, all of the village.
I'm wondering if that's really a staff function, or is that something that should be done, if that's a request to the board, to the village board?
Yeah,
I thought
It's
the
up to
Board
the
of Trustees, when they're working on something, actually has a copy of a red line copy. So
all of the local laws are prepared as sort of a red line copy, right? All of the changes are shown as deletions. All the deletions are shown as stricken. and all of the additions are shown as bold. Now,
That would be great. We just don't see that. That would be terrific to get that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So
why
if that's the
you're not
case, then-
getting it to you that way.
So if that's the case, then your request from the zoning board to the village board of trustees should ask the village board to provide that copy.
Right, agreed.
Right, can you
Okay.
answer that, Will?
Yeah, the reason you don't see it here is because, I think because these are just added sections. They're not, we don't reproduce the entire chapter. We just,
I'm not so sure that those aren't kind of integrated with some other chapters as well.
yeah.
It's both.
I think there's fees about the
it's
parkland
also-
already, and then they integrated it with the information about the affordable housing unit.
It's both. It's a little bit both. For example, it says section 24030 of the Village of Code is amended as follows, and we just have the new language. It doesn't say what is existing and what is new language. It only shows us the after the amendment has been done. So for those sections, I think it would be good. That would be great. Thank you. Okay, so does anybody have any comment? I have none. Meg had none. I don't think Doug had any. Greta or Abby, do you have any comments that you want to make on that one in particular, which is the fee in lieu of parkland dedication? And if not, then we
No.
won't. No. Was that Greta? So Abby, did you have anything?
No, I mean, just a general thought on these. If there was some way to get like a background statement or just some kind of information on like what is the objective of this law, that would be helpful when reviewing it to see if I thought it met the objective.
I think that I think that would be for the trustees. If the trustees, when they are considering this, had a statement of purpose, that we should get that as well.
Yes. Thanks, Robin.
Okay, so when we, William, the board has no comment on the code change related to fees in lieu of dedicating parkland. Now let us go to the bigger one, which is the setbacks from water bodies. I have some language concerns. I think there's some real language things we need to fix. But does anyone have before we go to specifics of language, does
I
anyone
got
have?
this too late to be able to read and review, so I have not been able to look at it. I don't think we got it until yesterday or the day before.
No, we had the local law before yesterday. We just didn't have the village planner's comments until yesterday, but the proposed local law came, I'd have to go look, but it didn't, it came way before yesterday.
Oh, perhaps it did. I'm sorry then that I did not see.
Actually, well, mine didn't have any attachments until yesterday.
Okay, I'm just
That's
curious.
correct,
to see
because
Whether
how
it was
it
there or
happened.
not, I
planning
have
staff-
not had a chance to review it.
Come on, go ahead. Lulu, go.
I'm sorry, I thought I did see it before yesterday. Maybe I didn't. So William, are you saying that we did not get a copy of the law the proposal until yesterday?
No, you had the law well in advance. You
That's what I thought.
didn't get planning staff's comments until yesterday. And
Right,
you
that's
also
what- yeah.
got where I went through and did the redlining so you could see where the amendments were going to take place in the code.
When I opened it up, I got a letter that had to do with the fees, the one before it, and I didn't get anything about the water body. So I'm sorry if I went to the wrong place to look for it, but I didn't.
No, I had the same issue.
Yeah, I got it. So that's surprising. I mean, that one of us got, it would be one thing if none of us did. Surprised that I did. I don't remember exactly when I got it. Oh yeah, oh no, I don't remember exactly when I got it. I just remember that I got it at some point. Okay, well, if there was an issue with some of the board members not having gotten it, apparently more than one board member didn't get it. That seems to me problematic to discuss. Let me ask either Bob or William, do you know when the board is planning to vote on this? I guess it's not ready for vote. When are they having their public hearing on this?
Yeah, I don't think they scheduled a public hearing on this. I could be wrong, though. This is, they have,
Local
It
law
says
is.
October 26th.
is it? Okay. I didn't remember what they had done.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can take this up at the work session.
Mhm.
Let's take this up at the work session then.
That makes sense.
So
I agree.
I have a question. I'm looking at this. So it looks like section 5 was deleted. Is that what the change is?
Wait,
That's the red
no,
line
there's
change?
lots of, that was just one piece of it. The red line is not complete. There are many, many, many
Okay.
changes to the.
Okay, I'm clicking it on now and I see that. Okay. Okay,
That was just one
got
of
it.
them.
Okay,
Okay.
now it's saying, I clicked on and says, can't reach this page. So, okay,
Okay, that's okay. After the meeting, if board members, if you cannot open the attachments, please let William know so he can resend them.
okay.
We don't need to discuss it now at the meeting, and we will put that on the agenda for the work session. Okay. Now we have the minutes. I had previously sent quite a while ago my
On
edits
the
to
agenda
all.
has the tree law still, Robin, the agenda I'm looking at has another law, the
Yeah.
tree law.
No,
Yeah. It's on the agenda.
But I thought we talked about that last time.
I don't have
No,
I don't have an agenda that has, my agenda does not have tree law on
Okay,
it.
I'm opening up the one that's publicly noticed. That's what I usually go to. It has the tree law.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
it's an error. It's not. We did discuss it last time, and there is nothing to discuss now. We did discuss it last
Well,
time.
Madam
Okay, well,
Chair, if I may,
wait.
what happened was you did discuss it at your last board meeting. The board had made your suggestions. Planning staff wrote the suggestions, sent them to you as chair, and then you will put them on the agenda for the full board to discuss, because you had some corrections. So
They're
the
not on
question
the
is, do you want to
agenda
deal with
that
it now
I
with the
have.
work session?
They're not on the agenda that I have. So I think they may be on the public agenda. They're not on my agenda. I guess
Okay.
we'll add that to the work session too.
Okay.
Okay, now I have some addition. I did look at the tree law and I do have additional comments. Should I just send them to Will? And then he can include them in the comment letters? And then we
If
can
the
look at it.
problem is, he can't do that. Just because you have some comments, if the rest of the board, I'm not saying we do, Greta, I don't mean to imply that we disagree with you, but it could be that you have comments that more than, that a couple of people on the board don't agree with. So it's not as simple as you send these comments because you want to make these comments. If it's going to be a letter from the board, it has to be approved by the board. So it's no different than a resolution. So I think if you have comments to the tree letter, we're going to discuss it at the work session, and at the work session, you can add your comments. And if we're okay with it, adding them to the draft letter that William prepared, we will add them at that point, and then he can send it out.
Would it be expedient if I, just to get things done as soon as possible, if I gave the comments to Will, he put them in, he said, Greta's comments, so then we can just read them and check it off and make it more, quicker.
No, I don't agree. I don't think that's right. I don't think we should each be sending comments for Will and Will to include them all, and then we vote on them. If you want to write them, if you want to write them formally so that it's in a sentence, he doesn't have to come up with language. The best way to do it would be for you to actually prepare the written language that you would like the letter to include. And then at the meeting, we can discuss them. And if we all want to add them to the letter, they're already written, he can just add them.
Okay.
I think the point that if we have comments and we could distribute the comments, not discuss them, but distribute the comments so we all had a chance to look at them before we get to the meeting, it would speed things up. And so I don't know why we're waiting until somebody makes a verbal comment and then we have to wait and see what it would look like.
That's not what the question that came up, Meg. That's not what was said.
I understand. I'm making a suggestion now. Regardless of anything that was just said, I am suggesting if people have comments that there would be some way to distribute them to everybody, to not then discuss, but just that they have them in front of them so that we're prepared to discuss them. And if maybe we had never thought of that, and we could each think of that, and then we'll be faster at cutting through this. And maybe even have the text to say, here's the letter.
I don't have a problem with, if that's okay, if there's no issue with, I guess the way to do it would be for you to, but the problem is that we get too many emails as it is. So if you want to do that, then we need to have a date certain by which you either have to send your comments or you don't send your comments, and we discuss it at the meeting. Because just like we don't like getting piecemeal from the applicants, I don't want to start getting, Meg sends me comments tomorrow, Greta sends them on Tuesday, Abby sends them Thursday, I send them Friday, Doug sends them the
Okay,
same.
okay, we
We have
understand
to have
how
them
you
all at
feel.
once.
How does
So-
everybody else feel?
So-
Greta and Abby, how do
Excuse
you
me.
guys feel?
Excuse me. That is so in my role as chair, that is what I am going to do. I am going to say that if everybody wants to have them sent first so that we can all peruse them, then we will pick a date. You have to have your comments into Will by that date, and then he will take all those comments that you have sent to him with language, and he will circulate those comments. Abby said X, Meg said Y, Greta said Z, Doug said A, and then we will have all of the different proposals in front of us. So when we discuss it at the work session, you have them all before you. There is no requirement that you do that. If you want to, you can, or we can just discuss it at the work session. So I would say the work session is October 22nd. Everything should be sent at least a week before October 22nd. So if you want it to be distributed to the board members before October 22nd, you have to send it to Will by whatever the Thursday before October 22nd is. And he's not going to edit it. He's just going to take Abby's suggested language, Doug's suggested language, if there is any, Meg's suggested language, Greta's suggested language, and circulate, and my suggested language, and circulate that to the board members. And I
Okay,
think that should solve all of Greta's concern and Meg's concern about having these things, written and seen before, without raising too many emails or too much.
Not to overload October 22nd, but we kept talking about definitions and consistency and clear and concise so that we don't run into the issues we ran into with the application. I know I wrote something up to send you guys. That's strictly my opinion as far as definitions are concerned.
We have a draft letter that the village planner prepared. Are you talking about that draft letter? We just discussed that we would discuss that on, because some people said they hadn't seen it, so we're going to take that up at the work session. Is that what you're talking about?
I modified that entire draft letter and asked William to issue it to all of you. Okay. William, did you send them copies?
Yes, I got the copy, Doug. I got
Right. And we can discuss it at and Meg, that is just my opinion, okay? But I figured I'd take it and say, hey, this is my opinion, and everybody else can comment on or add other. I know there's other definitions. We should discuss that also on the 22nd because.
Yeah, we already discussed that letter saying doing it on the 22nd, I thought.
Okay, good.
yeah,
So, okay.
Are we done?
I don't know, I was discussing the minutes, so let me go back to the minutes, which is where I was when we kind of went off that. So we have 4 sets of minutes. I had sent my comments to, which were edits. I mean, they weren't comments, they were edits, corrections, and others back in, I don't know, June. And I think some others of you, some of you said you had no comments, and some of you said, I think Greta might have said she had a comment. I don't recall anyone else saying they had a comment. If you have any edits, right, that's all we're doing is editing because it's not correct. There were errors in the minutes. If you have corrections to be sent to the minutes, please send them to William so that he can include corrections, not changes, just corrections, right?
Okay.
Meg said, it said Meg moved. No, Meg didn't move. Greta made the motion, or it's Abby. Abby recused herself. No, Abby didn't. That's a correction. So as I said, I sent these to my comments months ago when we discussed it. Those of you, if you have any edits, That's all we, right, because it's all, the minutes are what was there. If there are any edits, you have any corrections, let me call it corrections, please send them to William so he can incorporate them. He can then incorporate them and we can then approve them. And when you incorporate any more comments, William, please do it in a red line or track changes so that we can all review it as edited and we can approve them. Because we got to get this, we got to get these minutes done.
No, I agree. And I know you're really busy, Will, and Betty Ann's has left, and you're really carrying everything. It would be great, just for memory's sake, that if the next set of minutes you do are for today, because then at least you can we can remember better. Do people agree with that? It's
if we keep doing that,
April
we'll never
2nd
get
is
to these. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Finish, Greta. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I mean, it's just that April 2nd was what, 5 months ago? It's hard to remember precisely unless you're going to re-listen to the entire meeting again.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. What was your request?
He wants to do the minutes of this meeting because we remember it before we do, let's say, May, June, July, August, or September. And my problem with that, Greta, is if we keep doing that, we're never going to get these old minutes done. I think we just need to have maybe a session where we do. Well, let me ask the simple question. William, are there minutes, draft minutes from May, June, July, August, and September?
I have to get back to you on that.
Okay. So I'd be concerned with doing it because I think at that point we'll just lose the older ones. So it would be nice to get them all up to speed, but it would be better in the future if we could have minutes sooner rather than months later. Now I know you're getting a new planner is starting on Monday, so hopefully when William is not alone in his job and there is someone else doing it, we will be able to get some of this done sooner and some of the workload taken off. But anyway, that's my view of it. I would rather not start with current meetings, as much as I agree with you, Greta, that we don't remember these old things. They have to get done anyway. So let's just kind of get them done. I thought that Betty Ann had done at least the May meeting because I vaguely remember seeing May minutes at some point, but I'm not 100% certain. And I don't know if there were any other minutes done.
Again, I'd have to double check and get back to the board.
All right, so.
I have just one other request. In terms of resolutions, I know, I understand that resolutions are sent to the chair and then the chair looks at them and then they're sent to us. If you could send the draft resolutions to the entire board, that would be easier for us. So we'd have more time to review it and read it and not have just not have just a few days to look at it.
That's a different question. We can't, draft resolutions go to me because the last few resolutions in part have had lots of actual errors. I'm not talking substance, I'm talking about real factual and errors. And so I'm still going to do that first. I think the question would be, can we get the resolutions a lot sooner? Would be really the question. Rather than getting the resolutions, I don't get the resolution maybe till a week before the meeting. And then if I have edits and it's got to be edited, you are right, Greg, you're not getting it to too late. I think you need to get there's no reason that we can't have, that there can't be a draft of the resolutions within 2 weeks of the meeting so that I would review it and then you'd all have it at least a week to 2 weeks before the next meeting.
That's fine. That's what you want.
That's exactly what's happening. We've been getting them just at the last minute, sort of the week before. And they all come in the last minute. Nothing has come in. There's like, we had set a deadline and then the deadline became the date.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything? Otherwise, I think we're done with what's on the agenda. Anybody? Does somebody want to make a motion to close? Oh, sorry.
Absolutely. Wait, it's only
I
9:30.
sec-
We have 2 hours to go, 2.5. What are we gonna do for 2.5 hours?
Watch the Jets or the Giants, whoever's playing, or enjoy an evening.
I gave up watching all sporting events. They get paid too much money and a bunch of whiners.
So,
So do we have a motion on the
I
floor?
second. Yeah, I second.
okay. Doug,
Absolutely.
Abby,
Yeah.
Greta,
Yes.
Meg.
Yes.
I vote yes as well. This meeting is adjourned.
Okay, good night.
Good
Bye-bye.
night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.